Leonardo entered the vault like any other day, and as always he was friendly, but with the difference that today he had a can of hairspray in his coat pocket. But well, it was just a simple can of hairspray. Who could have suspected it? Leonardo, with the cooperation of the vault staff, easily made his way inside the vault, and at a moment when no one was paying attention, he sprayed the motion and heat sensor. Well, now his part was done. Let's move on to the night of the robbery. According to the plan they had, the team members entered from a building a step away from the street side. After that, they reached a large garden and moved toward the target building. At the end of the garden, near the target building, Leonardo had previously hidden a ladder. The other team members picked it up, used it to access the first-floor balcony, and easily got inside. But you might ask, didn't those windows have any alarms? Of course they did, but Leonardo had left his own room's window open in the morning before leaving the building. That way, the team members gained access to the vault door. But there was one problem. There were two magnetic plates, one on the door frame and the other on the door itself, which together formed a magnetic field. If these two plates separated from each other, the alarm would go on, and at that same moment, a warning would be sent to the manufacturing company and the entire police network. But well, there's a solution for every problem. Genius took an aluminum piece and, using liquid glue, attached it to the two magnetic plates to keep them fixed in place. Then he started unscrewing the magnetic plates. And that's how they passed the security layer as well. All the security layers of the vault had been solved. Now the only thing left was the key. King of Key placed the key, but the key didn't work. The smile on their lips froze. Their heartbeats raced, and everyone became worried and hopeless. But for King of Key, there was an interesting point. Whenever the guards came to open the door, they would first set the code, and at that moment, they would step out of the camera's view for a few seconds, and then return with the key. Where was the key that was not far from the vault door, and the guards would return quickly? There was only one answer, because there was only one door besides the vault door, the janitorial service room. And yes, the answer was correct, because the key was there. The only thing left for them was to open the doors of the lockboxes. For that, they had made a handmade drill that could open several safes in a fraction of a minute. The thieves collected the diamonds and left. The day after the heist, the day shift guards started patrolling when suddenly they reached the vault door. One of the guards radioed the vault support company.
Support company.
I want to be informed of the vault's security status.
Let me check. The vault is completely secure.
Then how am I standing inside the vault right now?
The thieves started celebrating and partying. But in the meantime, Leonardo felt a bit uneasy, which was not without reason. When Leo went to check the bags, he was very surprised and said to himself, "What the hell?" The amount of diamonds was much less than what the merchant had said, about 20% of what the merchant had claimed, meaning something around $20 billion instead of $100 billion. They had arranged a meeting with the merchant, but no matter how long they waited, the merchant didn't show up. Finally, they divided the shares and went their separate ways. Leo and Speedy were on the road together when suddenly Speedy screamed, "Pull over," and repeated this several times. Leo reluctantly pulled over, and they went into a forest. Speedy had lost control. Perhaps it was related to his illness. So now we understand how things got to this point, the point where Speedy was broadcasting everything. Finally, Leo calmed Speedy down, and they continued on their way together. You might ask why Speedy came with Leo. Because Speedy was an old friend of Leo's, and Leo had brought him into this team, a move that seemed to be Leo's biggest historical mistake.
I'll probably back to Antwerp again. I have work there. Do you want to come?
Of course. It's been a long time since we've been there.
Leo returned to the Antwerp Diamond Center and went to ask the receptionist for information regarding the robbery that had taken place. At first, he noticed that the receptionist seemed a bit nervous, but Leo acted completely natural so as not to raise any suspicion. However, to his complete surprise, after a while several officers came and arrested Leo. In fact, the receptionist had been wasting time by talking to Leo so that the officers would arrive. Now, where was the flaw? Let's find it. On the morning of the same day as the robbery, a man named Jack, who had just bought a part of the surrounding forest, was patrolling the area when he suddenly saw several boys throwing trash on his property. Jack got angry at them and shouted, asking why they were doing such a thing. The day after that, Jack was patrolling again and saw that trash had been dumped once more on his property. He got angry and called the police. This was the umpteenth time he had called the police because of the kids littering, but the police didn't care about Jack's complaint. But this time, Jack mentioned that among the trash, he saw documents attributed to the Antwerp Diamond Center. Now, why were these documents interesting to Jack? Because he had heard the news about the robbery of that center. Police officers arrived at the location very quickly and began examining the documents. Among the trash, the police found pieces of a receipt for a salami sandwich purchase, on which the buyer's name, Leonardo, was recorded. The officers immediately went to the sandwich shop and checked the security cameras. Yes, they saw Leo along with two others, Speedy and Genius. Meanwhile, Leo had returned to the Diamond Center and was talking to the receptionist. The officers arrested Leo and went to his house in Antwerp. There, they found some of the diamonds. They also found SIM cards belonging to Speedy, Genius, Muscle, and Leo, showing that calls related to all four of them during the time of the robbery had been recorded in the area of the Diamond Center. Leonardo, Speedy, Muscle, and Genius were all arrested and sentenced to 10 years in prison. But the merchant and king of key were never found. Leo, even after his arrest, refused to reveal the name and face of the merchant. But one important question remained. What happened to the diamonds? There are 3 hypotheses for this question. 1. The merchant had told all his friends and investors to remove their diamonds before the robbery so that after the robbery, they could claim full compensation from the insurance company. 2. The merchant took all the diamonds and kept them, intending to return them to the team members after their release from prison. 3. All the diamonds are safe with Leo in a secure place. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching the video.